All right, here we go. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you are taking care of yourself. Well, looks like we got Eric Elliott's in the house. What's up, Eric? It's good to see everybody. Well, I guess I can't technically see you guys. Never actually seen you guys. I guess technically you haven't seen me either. Not that that's a problem.
What's up?
What's up?
What is up?
Yes, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It is yet again just a completely random time in the day. So, right, that's on me. That's on me. This really is like some elaborate test that I'm doing with my own brain here to try to just develop that discipline to really get it out there, really make it happen, every day, so we can really try to build something here together. As you know, there's a couple fans of the show, people that enjoy tuning in, and I appreciate all of you. But right, and until this thing gets a little more stabilized, a little more professionalized, then it's just not that that's a problem. I guess it proves that I'm a real person. But just thinking a lot these days about how to grow, how to make something larger than yourself. And I guess it really just does take that perseverance, that every day, that pushing it through. And at least for me, there's a lot of other stuff that I have to do still, even in this infinite vacation that we're living through. The job that I've had is still continuing in a strange sort of home office way. And so there's still focus and attention that is required there. And right, if I'm being honest, I have many other schemes in the fire, but well, that's part of it. Trying to get focused, trying to execute something that's actually worthwhile, right? Worth my time and worth your time as well. So, and it's what we're trying to do here. You build a little community so we can all just talk about the hexagons and the news and whatever else is going on, and just sort of check in with each other, right? It's good to hear you're doing okay, Eric, right? I'd love to hear from everybody, just little stories, how you're feeling, everything, what it's like during this time, because I think it's never been more important to communicate now that everything's just sort of been kneecapped, right? We're all just sort of rolling around in mental wheelchairs at this point. So, but right, they haven't finished us off quite yet. So, I think it's worth continuing our journey wherever it's leading. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, speaking of hexagons, looks like we got a couple here on screen right now. right. Obviously, takes a little bit more effort on my part to pull these screenshots from the shows, but yeah, I enjoy talking about the entertainment because oftentimes there's a lot more truth to be found here in the entertainment than can be found on the news, and it's just it's continues to be shocking, amazing, impressive how synced up everything still remains in entertainment, even though right that just honestly seems very difficult, right, to know what events are coming ahead of time so you can find the right concepts and images to line up with the emotions that the populace is going through at any given moment. Quite a feat, and this new show on Netflix is no different. Tales from the Loop, talking about a lot of the same ideas, concepts, feelings that we're going through these days. And so I want to get into that in just a second. But right, as you can see from this first frame, there's really nothing new under the sun. It's always the same. We got those hexagons. And what do you want to bet? These hexagons are, well, just doing something, that they're not just, a random shape that they randomly chose to randomly cover this sphere that's in this particular frame. But let's get into that in a second. It's good to see Kim Adams. Good to see Grant Harper. What's up, guys? I'm gonna actually type here in the chat. What's up, guys? What is up? That's what's up. Yeah, I don't know where you guys are living. That's why I keep trying to do this stream pretty early, because I would love to cultivate and join my friends here on the west coast of America. And right, if I can get on here early enough, I can still align with the 33 mark in America, right? At least in California, in that whole area. So right, yeah, if you're in Texas, if you're a little more west coast, then you might you're East Coast, you might it might be a little earlier in the day. But it's the weird thing about trying to do a live show in this international time period, right? Because everybody's in their own different time zone, which again, who knows the nature of our reality and what's really going on. But that definitely does a great job of keeping us separated and keeping us from really coordinating, as well as maybe, well, what could you say? If the whole world was in one time zone, we would probably have a lot easier time communicating and collaborating on things if everybody was in the same cycle. But that's just not the nature of our reality. So we gotta make do with what we have. So, but it's good to see. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see you guys. Let's just jump over here to the interwebs. To the interwebs. Gotta get into some news, but I wanted to just bring this up here. I watched through this video. I don't know how much. I'm always worried about playing video on this channel, because that's sort of the main thing that really gets them going there in the algorithm center. Right there, obviously analyzing all this text, but as well. But yeah, good old Kim Adams, who is in the chat here. I hope it's fine calling you out, Kim. But she sent along this video, right? And this is been making the rounds. I've seen this on some other channels, right? But this is a New York City nurse that's talking about her experiences and being a nurse there in New York, where everything just seems to be totally insane. And she talks a lot about how, well, not that it's all just made up and everything, but that there's just been weird protocols throughout this whole event. Maybe getting people that are sick sort of out of her care and letting them die so they can add to the statistics, or sort of mismanagement and just changing of things, right? There just seems to be an endless stream now at this point of sort of fishy stories coming across, right? Where it's maybe the numbers were inflated artificially, or a protocol that is normally like pretty ironclad when it comes to the medical community, right? Somebody has X problem, and then they do this to that person, right? Well, a lot of that seems to be sort of changing and on its head. And well, let's just risk it for a second. Maybe we can we pull up the captions? See, I'm having gotta get a better organization here from my screen here.
Do like when somebody's low on blood, like literally on the brink of a critical low blood level, we should replace the blood. But I asked the residents and they're like, does he have internal bleeding? And I said, no. Then they're like, well, we're not replacing the blood. Well, here's the thing. In these COVID patients, they all eventually need a blood transfusion. Their blood, like, if you don't have enough blood to actually oxygenate your body, the vent settings don't matter, okay? They don't matter because you have no oxygen carrying capacity of your blood, okay? I told you about the patient where like all that like purulent drainage just kept seeping into his lungs because the ET tube cuff was leaking, and nobody has a manometer here to check the pressures. And I finally figured that out. And I kept saying, hey, you know what? His white blood cell count is steadily like, you know, we're having a problem with it. Like, do you want to start some antibiotics? No. Well, does he have a fever? And I said, no, he doesn't have a fever. They didn't want to start antibiotics. Day shift nurse finally got a chest x-ray. He has full-blown pneumonia now. Like, I've been telling them this for a while, but because he didn't have a fever, they didn't want to give him.
And so on. Yeah, this video goes on for like 20 minutes. Yeah, it's worth thought. Maybe I'll post the link someplace. But yeah, I mean, this definitely seems like a real person, like a real nurse type person that is just talking about all the weird things, like what I'm saying, like the usually there's a protocol to how you take care of people, and a lot of that's being ignored or adjusted to, I guess it's hard to say who's where all these things are coming down from, but it sounds like, at least from her perspective, that there are higher ups at this hospital that are making decisions that she doesn't seem to be agreeing with, right? That it's not the best care, that it's not exactly what these people need, and it sounds like they're people that are really suffering. And well, that's just pretty damn morbid if they find people with actual the COVID, and then they end up in the hospital, and then they're sort of systematically undercared for until they pass away from sounds like pneumonia or any other sort of horrible respiratory thing. So, which is a terrifying thought, right? To think that, okay, you come down with some serious heavy disease, and you go to the hospital because you can't breathe, et cetera, and then they systematically sort of don't take care of you, right? So yeah, appreciate that, Kim. Thanks for sending this video in. That's one side of the coin, and now I'm going to come over here. These guys have definitely an interesting name in the community, right? If you talk about, I'm not even gonna like say this out loud, but if you talk about this group in general company, that's a bad idea. I'm gonna have to say that most people are gonna be super annoyed, or just put you in a category as soon as you align yourself with this organization, right? But at the same time, well, it's a tricky one for me, because obviously it's very sensationalized, the work that they do, and just the nature of the productions, the narration, and everything. It's just it's a little over the top, but at the same time, they also do these undercover actions. They get these real people in these organizations to admit to what's going on, and right, I guess a lot of that could be staged, but doesn't really seem like right, that there's not really a leg to stand on. None of these videos ever seem to get taken down, even though they're directly calling out these large organizations. And Yeah, mostly tends to just get ignored and pushed under the rug. But this video came out, I guess, today, and or yesterday. No, yeah, yesterday. And apparently, right, they did a little undercover exposing of themselves, and went to a facility, I guess, where they were testing people, and yeah, basically, yeah, they laid off a bunch of their staff, even though they probably should need more people for this whole event. This whole testing thing seems like you would need as many people as possible. People were laid off, and it looks like, right, CBS came by and they did a report on this particular location, and well, yeah, long story short, basically they hired a bunch of people that were actually working for this medical company, not to do the testing, but to stand in line and make it look like there was a lot of testing going on, and that just basically wasn't the case, right? They're out here, they're on location, they got the whole tent, they call it the whole test, and right, it's just good, better TV if you actually have people standing in line, make it look like it's actually something happening, right? But then it comes out that those lines were arbitrarily, maybe not real people standing in those lines, that those were just more medical staff posing for the camera, and that these people were actually mixed in with legit people that were coming to get tested and looking for testing. And right then there was some whole sort of elaborate system to know who is the well, I guess not too elaborate, you would just know who the staff is, but testing the people that are real, and then not testing the people that were just the employees standing in line. But right, these people coming to get a test ended up standing in this artificially long line. And that definitely seems to be a big trend these days. More of that psychological torture that right, even if you're just going to the grocery store or some other regular store, that you're going to be standing in a crazy long line. I went to the store a little while ago, the electronics store, and it took me about an hour just to get inside. And then once you get in there, it's also very just sort of strange. And right, who knows if there were some artificial employees standing in my line, but and this is just a small nonprofit, right? Profit. They're just looking to pad out their money. I don't know what I would do if I was in this scenario, right? You get approached by a major news organization, you're going to get a little extra bump in your numbers, and then you try to make it look good for the camera, right? Because so much of this whole event, all of this is PR, is imagery, and that's really, it's key to the whole thing. So who knows? Can't really get to the bottom of any of this, but I'm assuming more of this is going to come out, this kind of information, and yeah, you'll have to choose what you do with it. Maybe it's all fake, maybe Veritas staged this whole thing. Oh no, I said him. But right? Or maybe not. Maybe it was the CBS doing the staging, and all of that's actually true. That's a very tough pill to swallow, depending on who you are and your mindset. Now, all sorts of other news. I do want to get into the show, Tales from the Loop. But they're finding, right, all of this looks kind of just, it's all just very strange, right? Normally when you get a disease or a virus, you're able to get over it and just move on with your life. But a lot of people, a lot of different stories about, right, things coming back, people retesting positive, all the tests being sort of faulty and giving false negatives, false positives, and everything in between. It's just a complicated story. The WHO, that's what they're saying. They are not reinfections, that these are in fact just, well, I guess when you get this disease, you never actually fully get over it, that it just keeps cropping back up, and that it stays with you. It's not something that you can cure or that you get over and just destroy, and then you have the antibodies and you're fine after that point. That this disease is something that stays with you. And I don't know how that imagery is going to shift over time, but that's at least what they're saying today. Michigan governor wants to ban guns from Capitol after armed anti-lockdown protests, right? That's sort of what the whole game is about, I would think, right? Because so much of what's going on is about changing the rules, limiting your ability to do things that you want to do, and definitely disarming the population, right? There was already another action going down. I guess it went totally under the radar. Was that in Australia? Or no, it was in Canada. There was a mass shooting, and they managed to push through an assault weapon ban. Right during all of this that's going on, it makes sense, I guess, that. But I'm sure that's just one of the little things that they're getting snuck by during this whole event. That's really the big question, I think, is what else. What other wheels are in motion while so much cover is being provided? Nobody's really looking at any other news, and it's in a strange way sort of hard to care about any other news that doesn't have to do with the disease. It almost feels like you're avoiding the subject or something, right? So yeah, I guess they're going to try to push for it in Michigan. Who knows how far this is going to go, right? But could that be the bargain that they strike? Well, we're going to reopen everything, but in order to do that, we have to put a ban on weapons and open carry and all that kind of stuff because it's just too dangerous. This article is definitely getting some traction, almost 500,000 clicks there. So this is definitely something people are talking about. Now, here's the dark side of the RSS feed. Some people, websites don't really understand how they work, and I guess end up like putting their entire API website code. Good job, guys. Super good job. I guess those are all the trackers that they're running. Salesforce, Roku. These are all trackers. Which if you have some spare time, it's always worth looking into, really understanding how many. When you say I agree to those cookies, how many companies are actually piled into that, right? It's usually hundreds, just like in this list. These are all different things that are collecting your data and selling it and using it. And, well, I'm sure they're all legit, right? I'm sure they're all nice guys. Egyptian pyramids really were aligned to the compass points, I guess is what they're trying to say. That's more for another time. But jeez, time is always just flying. I don't really know how anybody manages their time, and I'm not just like starting out in this world, but I still I can't quite figure it out. How do you get your day organized? How do you do that? I guess these people they're cranking out this news. Alternative meat is having a moment. Real meat may be done sooner than you think, right? What is this hinting at? I think this is really the big story. And if there was one thing that the virus was providing cover for, if there was only one thing, it would be this gigantic coming shift in our food supply. A huge, just absolute irreversible change in the food we eat, the way we get that food, and who's producing it, what we're paying for it. It's all shifting forever, basically. There's no real going back after this. And right, that's already been all over the news a bunch, that all these meat processing facilities have had to close, have been shut down, had all their workers infected and then laid off, right? But just like the CBS story, it makes you wonder how many of those stories are the actual truth. How sick are these people? How sick is the supply chain? What's going on there? And I guess this is just another puff piece about Impossible and what's the other one? Beyond, and how they're basically going to have to come up with the goods, and it's just worth really thinking about. Well, all of these meat substitutes were coming out last year. A lot of this takes just insane amounts of money, research, time, branding, just general business dealing to get these fake products out there into the people's brains to make them actually want to eat them, and then to get big partnerships with the major chains like McDonald's and Burger King, and then to get all that fake meat out to them. And just like any good news story, this one is covered in numbers, and that's this one's jumping out to me. The 777, which right, all these numbers are always worth talking about, but the 7 is sort of it's a trick, right? Everybody says the lucky number 7, it's the lucky number 7, but 7 is actually a very unstable, unbalanced number, right? Because made out of 3 and 4, as opposed to something more dualistic. And so when you're using this number, right, it's definitely the most unlucky, the most unstable, the one you should rely on the least. In which, as with all these things, I mean, the lie just goes so deep and into so many layers that, right, obviously the number that they tell you is the lucky one is going to be the absolute opposite, most unlucky number of all those things. And, right, once you've collected that information, makes you wonder, why would they choose to roll out to 777 grocery stores? What power does that have over what's going on here? And there's a 33 there as well. But this is all coming, and I'm not saying really like I want to eat these Impossible burgers, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be given a choice. I would, right, if you're not completely prepping and having a bunch of stuff on hand, I would just, well, I don't know, go buy that steak. Go have a burger, because and really just try to enjoy it, because there's no telling how long you even will be able to go to the grocery store and get that chicken or get that beef. And sure, yeah, it's probably all real backwards and bad for the environment, et cetera, but at the same time, it's fucking tasty. Filled with energy and power, and, well, I guess that's just the world we're living in. You don't know how long the things you've enjoyed are going to be sticking around. I don't think anything is sacred at this point, so I think you got to just try to do your best to enjoy those things while we still have them, Not to be too dark. Because that's what we're trying to do here, right? Trying to find a way of looking at reality without just being too depressing. Because I still think there's human potential. There's always a chance for us to create something beautiful, to make something worthwhile in this world. As long as you recognize that you do still have agency, you still have power over your own mind and your actions, and for the most part, still have autonomy and free will. So use that the way that you choose, the way that you think is best. Now, I'm probably gonna have to jump in on another episode with this show, but let's just take a chance to look at a couple frames here. This show, yeah, it's like a lot of this more recent dystopia sci-fi entertainment where it's the episodes seem like they're almost unconnected, but they all are sort of living in the same world, and each episode is sort of trying to highlight or develop another major concept that basically we're all going to have to get on board with and understand and support and embrace as things go forward, right? There's no getting to this magical future, this technological paradise that they are pushing us towards without some steps in between. And right, some of those might be a little more uncomfortable than I think you would hope, but they're still coming anyways, right? And part of that, I think, is right, the disclosure, getting us mentally prepared, but it's almost like at the same time they're laying all their cards on the table. So if you can figure out how to read these tea leaves, then well, it's just worth putting effort into, right? And learning the symbolic language so you can have a greater grasp on everything, right? So in the show, a lot of strange things are constantly happening. And the weird thing is that, right, if say for example you consciousness transferred, did a Freaky Friday with your friend using a little ball that you found in the woods that normally, right, you would call the police, you would get everybody all worked up and interested in that, but that's not the case in Tales from the Loop, right? All sorts of insane things happen, right? Consciousness transfer, people going into robots, and right, a weird little room that when you yell into it echoes, telling you how long you're going to live. You know, all sorts of weird things are happening, but nobody seems to really react to that. They don't call the cops. They just sort of deal with it on their own, which is just an interesting way to deal with weird stuff like that. I mean, maybe that's part of the effect as well. And we're getting into the end of this show. I just want to acknowledge Eric Ellett is smoking some weed right now.
That's right. There's no telling how long you'll keep your supply chain available. So like, if you like smoking weed, if that's what you wanna do, you should enjoy that joint. Maybe smoke another for me. It's like, you're giving me an idea, like maybe I should also join you in smoking that joint, cause like, who knows how long you're still gonna be able to get that good.
Oh man. Well, I mean, the show. I'm talking about the Fake Truth show. This show it really is like a symbol for my struggles in life, right? Plans and the best laid plans, right? If I label an episode something, I end up just I don't know, procrastinating on talking about it until the episode's almost over, and it's like, well, but there's all this important stuff to get into. Well, I guess that other stuff was important too, but like, right? This topic deserves some discussion here, right? This gigantic sphere, this hexagonal sphere that seems to control everything in this show. It's like the primordial egg, something that seems to have been discovered from a previous civilization. And that's a huge topic in this show. A lot of high tech stuff seems to just be sitting on the ground, like it was made by some previous culture or civilization. Like really crazy stuff. This little bottle that like you turn it on and it stops time. They just like find it on the beach, right? And it's like, well, it's still working. Like, isn't that something you should like hide or keep about, right? Tons of pregnant symbolism in this show, and this has to be the most central image of the show. This this hexagonal sphere thing, right? And at one point, a character is able to like go inside of it, just like all those other concepts and ideas about a mirror world or something that you can go into these, right? I think once you start to really grasp this symbolic language, you realize that no major show is talking about anything else. It's all the same. It's all the same imagery. This hexagonal sphere. And right, a lot of beautiful photography, a lot of beautiful things in this show, but at the same time, it's really super boring. It was kind of hard to actually even get all the way through because, yeah, like I said before, the show is like based off of paintings, which are very sort of evocative and right, they have the whole studio mechanism. They're able to pull this all together, make it totally beautiful. But if your source material is just a handful of paintings, right, that like, how are you going to stretch all that out into a full hour episode? And that's why you end up with these long shots of, right, it's just his hat on his bed, full of meaning and all of that. But in the end, right, we're still looking at this hat for like a good 20 seconds. And, well. Ooh, did I lose mine? Did I lose my bumpers? Did I lose my bumpers? That was the bumper. All right. Well, I got tons of more images here for you, but that's on me, guys. That's on me. I'm gonna have to just organize my thoughts and do it quickly, right? Because that's just what needs to happen. I want to keep bringing this information to you guys, and I appreciate you guys taking the information in. And well, it seems like yeah, we got some people in the chat. I just appreciate all of it. Thank you for spending time with me. That's all I really want to say here at the end. It means a lot, and I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, the best you can. I know all relations are being put to the test these days, especially close ties, loved ones, family members, relationships, and I guess as I head back to reality here, I would encourage you, right? Don't give up. Don't give up on those relationships, because you need them. I know I do. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one, okay? Take it easy, and keep your eyes open. Search for beauty.